I'm pleased to be able to share Judge Michael P. Scopolidis with you. You professionals, whether you're lawyers, judges, mediators, co-parenting educators, whatever, I think can learn a lot from his work. He's been a leader in trying to develop more cooperative practices and more cooperative overall systems. But specifically, I want to ask you today, Mike, about an observation the local psychologist you know, Dr. Tim Anka, has made, where he says that whatever role we are playing as a family law professional, that could be as a counselor, it could be as an attorney, it could be a judge, mediator, we all share, for whatever responsibilities we have separately, we all share a common unseen client, and that's the future co-parenting relationship, that future relationship between the parents. What's going to be going on between them, between the times that we see them and for years afterwards? Your thought about Dr. Anka's observations?
Well, for lawyers particularly, it's important that they keep this in mind because lawyers are trained to be advocates. And they're trained to present issues in court, argue in court, and so their natural inclination is to want to represent clients in divorce by presenting issues and making arguments in court, and that's really counterintuitive to helping parents develop a good co-parenting relationship. Because the lawyers aren't going to be there forever, number one. Number two, what they're doing is destructive of building that relationship. Instead, it's interfering with the parent's ability to try to work together and co-parent, and eventually leads to more distrust and more anger between the parents. And once the lawyers conclude the case, they leave the parties incapable of working out their problems together. So it's real important for lawyers to ask themselves when they're going to do something in a family law case, any family law type case, is what we're doing going to further and improve the ability of these parties to co-parent together, or is it going to hurt it? If it's going to hurt it, lawyers shouldn't do it. And if it's going to improve it, lawyers should do it.
One of the things I find very interesting about Dr. Anka's observation is that he points out that we have these fights over things that don't matter very much. That is, what time will pick up or drop off occur, how are we going to divide Thanksgiving and so forth. And while we're doing that, we are having a destructive effect on the very thing you mentioned, Mike, which is the future co-parenting relationship. These people have thousands of decisions to make in the future on matters we don't even know about today. The kids probably don't even care what time they're picked up. They would just like there to be a decent relationship between the parents. So we're doing tons of violence to the thing that really matters, that future co-parenting relationship, for the sake of something that probably doesn't matter.
And we need to keep sight of that. Judges need to keep sight of that as well as the practitioners. And I try to remind parties when they're putting me in a position of making a decision that they seem incapable or unwilling to make, or the lawyers are not allowing them to make, I remind them that there's going to come a day when they're going to need to make these decisions on their own, and I'm not going to be there, the lawyers aren't going to be there, and they need to start now learning on how to talk with one another, cooperate with one another, and reach a decision on their own without asking the court to do it.
I thank you for being here about this, Mike. By the way, I've done many mediations, and we have an intake form, and hundreds of times we've asked parents, have you been to court? And if so, the next question is, did that help or hurt the way that you relate and cooperate? And we have yet to have one set of parents say, you know what, that helped us. We always left with more hurt. Or at most you'll hear, well, it kind of was neutral. We hated each other going in, we hated each other coming out. But for the most part, people say it was a highly destructive experience. And it's not the judge's fault. I mean, I still say the judges really don't have any good decisions if the parents are turning these, really should be opportunities to build better cooperation between them into legal issues that the judge decides.
I agree with that completely, and I try to encourage lawyers and the parties when they're in court to think about not bringing these issues into court the next time, but try to find some other avenue, whether it's mediation, whether it's sitting down in a four-way conference with the lawyers, to try to work this out, make their own decision, and tell folks, even if you're not 100% satisfied with the decision that was made, at least it's yours and hasn't been forced upon you by someone, a judge, who's known you for 5 or 10 minutes.
And it's a stepping stone to the time that you'll be working together better in the future. And things will get better if you let them. Thanks,
That's right.
Mike.
Okay. Thank you.